Hey friends, Jill Heinerth here for another installment of answering the questions that you send me online. So I'm going to jump right into it because there's a bunch here today. Dear Jill, it seems many of the recreational diving deaths over the past 20 years involve rebreathers, much like cave diving experienced during the final decades of the 20th century. Which of the two, rebreathers or cave diving, have a higher relative risk of accidents and death? Well, I want to be careful to make sure that I'm using statistics that I could back up. But if we take open circuit technical diving and compare that to rebreather technical diving, there's about 10 times more accidents on rebreathers than there is in open circuit technical diving. However, if we sort of look fairly and objectively at those accidents and say, all right, let's take those rebreather accidents. And if somebody was totally vigilant with their safety protocols, meaning they used a checklist and they went through that checklist fully and they jumped in the water with a working rebreather. They didn't make a choice to jump in with like 2 out of 3 sensors or something stupid like that. So if they followed all the rules, then rebreather diving and open circuit technical diving are about equal. So like the cave diving accidents that happened in the pioneering days, we've developed a set of rules essentially. And if you follow the rules, then it's no more risky than other types of diving. But manipulating your life support equipment and your life support environment is a really dangerous thing to do. And so there's not much room for error on a rebreather. So if you're thinking about diving a rebreather, just make sure that you're one of these people who will follow protocols to the T and do it every time. Even if you spent all your life savings and gone to the other side of the planet and had a rebreather failure, you must be willing to turn around and abort. That is the rule of survivors. And you must be willing to not get in the water if everything's not perfect. So stay sharp. Okay, here's the second one. My son is really interested in scuba diving. As of now, he's too young for any of the junior diving certifications, but is spending his time snorkeling, and becoming a strong swimmer. Different agencies have different minimum age requirements. In your opinion, what is a good age to start diving, and how do you know if a child is ready to start? Oh, that's a cool question. I think it's a really fantastic family activity, and there are diving programs that you can start as young as 10 for a junior open water certification, or 8 if you just want to do like a pool-based scuba ranger kind of camp program. And quite frankly, kids are intellectually capable of dealing with the academic materials. Most learning is e-learning these days, and so the kid has to do the reading and the homework and pass the tests to mastery, meaning, if they get a lot of wrong answers, they're going to constantly be funneled back to read and learn more. But you know what? Kids at that age do their homework. They're so excited about this that it's way more fun than their schoolwork. So they'll read, they'll watch the videos, they'll do the homework. They're usually more obedient than the adult divers. And when you get a kid in the water with gear, nobody ever told them they couldn't, and so they don't fight it like we do as adults. They gain their buoyancy usually pretty quickly and are quite good in the water. So I have no problem with them starting early, as long as they've passed their medical checklist before they go diving, and the family doctor thinks it's fine. Then I say go for it, because it's an incredible opportunity for a kid to be exposed to physics and physiology and maths, and also such a sense of accomplishment. When they get certified and earn that qualification, it's a really big deal for a young person and a fantastic thing for the family to share. So I say start young, go for it. All right, next one. Let's see. Dear Jill, I hope you see my question. Yep, I did. Seeing it right now. I hope you decide to answer it. Yep, no problem. My question is, how do you decide whom to teach? I know that you are busy with many projects and teaching takes very little of your time. What traits in a person that reaches out to you would make you spare your time and share it with someone that asked you to teach him or her? Yeah, it is true. I used to spend a lot more of my time teaching, and it was also a lot easier when I was living in Florida, right, right across the street from Ginny Springs, because you could just drive across the street and be in a cave. Um, so I do a lot less teaching these days. But you know, if you're looking for an instructor, for any instructor, I suggest that you reach out to that instructor and you know, don't get starstruck or anything like that. Like, interview your instructor. What kind of diving do they do? Like, what's their background and experience? Are they current? You know, have they been in the water? What's their teaching style like? Is it going to fit you? Are they going to be like a militant boot camp instructor, or are they going to be sort of a warmer, kinder, gentler, encouraging person? Um, I mean, there's lots of things. I think what I would want to know from my instructor is that that our objective is learning. I mean, whenever I've taken a class, the certification is secondary, and it's the same thing when I teach. You know, you will earn your certification. It's not for me to give to you. You will earn it based on mastering certain skills. So yeah, you know, find a fit there. For me these days, the teaching time does come down to availability, and then also choices. Like, I've chosen not to teach during these COVID times because I don't want to take the personal risk of getting a you know, career-ending lung disease. So I'm isolated until I get vaccinated. Then we'll see after that. All right, next. Hi Jill, I would like to go into cave diving. I'm from Mexico, so I have cenotes in less than 2 hours flight away from my home city. I did blah blah blah, a whole bunch of certifications. Do you recommend that I get certified with a common agency, PADI, SSI, TDI, or move into a nerdy one like GUE, ISE, or UTD? I don't even know what ISE is, so sorry. And I would say that none of those agencies matter, whether it's the, what do you call them, common agencies or nerdy agencies. It's really all about the instructor, especially when you get to the level of technical diving. Most of us teach for numerous agencies, but we teach pretty much the same class no matter what card you end up with. So, you know, the standards and objectives are pretty much the same. And it doesn't really matter what agency you're trading from. It really matters that you got a good training experience and benefited from that. All right, here's one more. All right. This is from, well, I'll just read it. Dear Jill, I have been following your adventures since you were 3, which is 53 years ago. I have 2 questions for you. Why did you not like being called Ms. Heinerth? And what would you prefer? 2, why and how do you read books underwater? You are amazing. Sincerely, Jackie. Jackie's my oldest friend. so this is cool to have a question from her. Ms. Heinerth, I think I must have said that in an earlier video, that I'd rather not be called Ms. Heinerth, because sometimes when kids call me ma'am and Ms. Heinerth and stuff like that, it makes me feel old. So I just like being called Jill. Now, how do I read books underwater? That definitely came from one of the earlier videos. They just don't make books like they used to. National Geographic was a good thing to read underwater because the paper quality was so good that you could be thumbing through the magazine and reading on a long decompression dive, and then you know it would survive the dive. Even old paperbacks had a really good paper quality, and you could read them underwater, and then in between dives they would dry out like some big modern art piece, but you could take it back underwater and then you could turn the pages again. So that used to be a deco strategy. Today you can take an iPad or an iPhone underwater and you could read that way if you want to. That is if you don't have like eyesight of a 56-year-old like I do now. So It's just a little harder these days to read, although I have some pretty cool masks that help me do that. Okay, one more question just for, this is for a sense of humor, and this isn't, true confessions. I didn't get this question online, but this was a question I got asked when I was living in the Cayman Islands. So I was working at a small dive lodge, the Cayman Diving Lodge, on the east end of Grand Cayman. This was a long time ago, like 30 years ago. Anyway, I was standing out on the dock on a beautiful evening, and one of the guests at the lodge came and walked down the dock and was staring up at the moon and the beautiful stars and turned to me and said, "Is this the same moon that we see in New Jersey?" And I don't ever like to make fun of someone, because there is no stupid question. Any question is a good question, but that kind of shocked me. And I took a deep breath and I just turned to her and I said, I'm not sure if we see the same moon or not. So I'll leave you today with the end of this session with my moon jellies, and I'll see you again. If you have questions, reach out to me at my website, intotheplanet.com, or in the comments of any of these videos. And please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.